Well, let's get started then. So today we're going to be playing some blueprints. We're going to try to take a stab at solving this game together, kind of like we did with La Mulana. Uh, there, it is a bit of a slower paced game, so I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing. And I say that or introduce that concept to say, if at any point this is like not really working out, it might not work the same as La Mulana, just speak up and we can move on from it. There's sort of two objectives here for me, one of which is um, I'd really like to get a couple of second opinions or another set of eyes on some of the problems I'm trying to tease out. That's going to be very helpful. But also, it's beneficial for me to just spend more time in the game. And I've reached a point in my own playthroughs where I'm not really motivated to do that any longer because a lot of the short-term goals have sort of been accomplished. So either way, it's a little bit of benefit for me. So I appreciate you guys helping me out. And just a reminder, we are recording this. I will probably upload it to YouTube for the purpose of sharing it with our other friends if they have anything to add to our exploits. So if that's an issue, just let me know and I will not do that step. We can find another way to share it, or maybe we don't even have to share it. I wanted to share it in case anybody wanted to join in at a later date. I was telling Shane just before we started, I was really hoping Nor would pay attention to this and maybe tune in, and maybe we can convince him to after we do the first session, because there may be some in universe language we need to translate, and he seemed to really like that part of La Mulana. Um, so anyway, that's my preamble. I'm actually gonna start a new profile so everybody gets the concept from the beginning. I'm gonna be doing a lot of talking. Like before, I will be reading any text that's on screen. There's going to be more of that. So if that becomes tedious, just speak up and we won't do that. I do that for pacing to make sure everybody has an opportunity to read it, people watching the video and whatnot. Yeah, let me make a new profile here and we'll get cracking. And I'll
Sounds good.
explain the
Let's go.
mechanics as we go. Sorry, what was that, Shane?
Sounds good. Let's go.
Cool. Oops, this is an old save. Let me. I have a 0-day profile here. Can I clear save? We will do the standard mode. I will be quiet because there's an intro here.
I, Herbert S. Sinclair of the Mount Holly Estate at Reddington, do publish and declare this instrument my last will and testament, and hereby revoke all wills and codicils heretofore made by me. I give and bequeath to my grandnephew, Simon P. Jones, son of my dear niece, Mary Matthew, all of my right, title, and interest in and to the house and land which I own near Mount Holly. The above provision and bequest is contingent on my aforementioned grandnephew discovering the location of the 46th room of my 45-room estate. The location of the room has been kept a secret from all the staff and servants of the manor, but I am confident that any heir worthy of the Sinclair legacy should have no trouble uncovering its whereabouts within a timely manner. Should my grandnephew fail to uncover this room or provide proof of his discovery to the executors of my will, then this gift shall lapse. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 18th day of March, 1993. Herbert S. Sinclair.
And that's the setup. So you are Simon. Your great uncle Sinclair has passed away, and he's left you this big mansion, which you can keep if you can find the 46th room. This is actually a roguelike game. I'm going to explain the elements in this here first room. Actually, I'm going to walk forward here and read this letter because there's a big...
Interject a minute. The game audio is extremely quiet on my end.
Oh, interesting. Let's see if I can adjust that. You might be able to adjust that. It is a pretty quiet game, but yeah, if you have trouble hearing the intro dialogue, that wouldn't be great.
Yeah, my settings had the stream volume down at 50%, which I don't ever recall touching, but I probably did at some point. So I had to jack that up, but then I could hear it.
How do I view my stream settings? Let me see if I can adjust that on my end. Shane, you should also look to see if you can adjust it so that if it's working for Dan, it's probably... I shouldn't make a tweak.
I've turned it up to the maximum now. Let's get some game audio and try it out.
Well, good luck. It might be a bit before we get any more like that. So, first-person graphic adventure game. We're going to be solving puzzles in this mansion. I will pick up this here map. And this is the Mount Holly blueprint, which will serve as a useful map and inventory log during my adventure. I may access it by pressing tab. So this shows the map of the manor. And the conceit is the adventure game elements is each of these rooms is drafted from a deck of rooms when you cross a threshold into an unexplored area of the manor. So it's sort of like a tile placement game of sorts.
A deck of tiles. Okay.
Yeah. We will not be seeing every room every day. In fact, some rooms we will almost never see, and that's part of sort of the puzzle solving mechanism we'll be doing here. I'm going to open this letter. Open only in the event of my death. I will make one observation. This letter has a blue stamp on it. One thing we'll be interested in is looking for multicolored stamps during the course of the game. We can't take advantage of that just yet, though. The letter says, Simon, welcome to Mount Holly. You may not remember, but I have fond memories of your many visits here as a young boy, and I hope these rooms provide you with as much amusement as it did in those lost summer days. By the time you read this, I will assume you are fully aware of my last wishes and all the details of the bequest. Please do not mistake my intentions in giving you this challenge as a lack of confidence. I assure you, nothing could have been further from my mind when I chose you as my heir. With that said, there are a few ground rules of this commission covered in the fine print of my will that I feel I should bring to your attention. No tools or items may be brought onto the estate from the outside. Tools and items found on the estate may not be taken off the estate, and you may not stay overnight. I don't suspect any of these stipulations to prove an impediment for someone as resourceful as yourself, but it's very important to me that you start fresh each morning and not rely on the successes of each day. This is just explaining that it's a roguelike, so anything we find is not going to be available to us the following day. One final word of advice, do not assume the rooms you find today, further explains it, will be the same rooms you find tomorrow. These grounds have provided me a home for the last half-century, and even I am uncertain of which room lies beyond any particular door. Your grandmother used to say, don't go where the path leads, abandon the path and go where you want it to lead. With all my love and wishes, best of luck, Herbert S. Sinclair. All right, so that's, I think that's the only interactable thing in this here, our first room. So I'm going to just confirm by, I can actually read this. It's a tooltip here. But we're just going to look at stuff here. So there's like a clock and a bust. And here's another bust. There's a painting on this wall. And these paintings are actually part of a manor-wide puzzle. And I'll go into some detail into that after we see a few more.
And an ace.
Yeah, it's good memory. You should remember those, and then we see like 2 or 3 of them, and then I'll explain what the heck is going on there. So a lot of rooms. There aren't actually a lot of interactable points in this game, but there's maybe like 1 or 2 per room. A lot of rooms have actually tooltips as objects in the world in them. So this is a tooltip, and this says, searching in this state can be exhausting. Each time you enter a room, you lose 1 step. I'm going to call it steps. You have a step meter in the upper left here. When you no longer have any steps left, you're too tired to continue searching the manor and must call it a day. So we kind of have 2 failure conditions, really, on any given day, which is we can actually construct the manor in a way where it's impossible to proceed. I think that's going to be the more common thing we do. And the other issue that we might run into is if we actually run out of steps, we will just end the day early. And once the day ends, you just start the next day over, like everything's reset, but you just keep going. There is some permanent progression, so we'll try to get some of that early. That's sort of our early objectives here. So I'm going to go ahead and open a door here. And you see when I open a door, it gives me a list of 3 rooms. These are rooms drawn from my deck, and you can pull up a map of the current layout of the manor to help you with that, and it will also show your inventory down here if you have anything. We have nothing yet. In broad strokes, some of the strategies we're going to employ in terms of tile placement is down here at the bottom of the manor near the entrance hall. I like to sort of expand to the sides a little bit and try to keep as many passageways open as possible, because there are a handful of rooms like this closet here that only have 1 exit. So it's really helpful, like, not to run into those later. So you want to try to place, not all of them, but like a handful of them early. I'm not going to place this closet. I'm actually going to place this hallway to give me 2 additional exits. But like if another, like as I'm exiting, if the closet comes up, that would be a great thing to place here. I'm going to place this here hallway. And you'll observe as I cross this threshold here, my steps go from 50 to 49. So that's a very important piece of information to observe as we play this game together, which is I'm going to probably be going kind of fast. I know I'm going really slow because I'm explaining a lot of stuff now, but I'm probably going to be moving kind of fast. And if there's something in a room that I kind of blew by, but you want to see more information about, you got to let me know before I cross that threshold, because that is a timer for our day. And it's really wasteful to backtrack. So hallway's mostly empty. Sorry, go ahead, Shane.
Just writing down, we got prayer beads on the left and a crowbar on the right.
Cool. Yeah. I remember. Yes. All right. So we got a note in here. This note says, doors in the West Wing are more likely to be locked. That note is false, I think. I think later on we learned that notes that are printed on red paper but not handwritten are false. This is the kind of game we're playing. So I'm going to open this door and hope for a dead-end room. I got 2. The lavatory is a useless room. The storeroom, it's got 3 symbols on it. I'll just pick the storeroom. We can go through the symbols. I think it's really useful. I'm going to place the storeroom here in the lower left corner. I'm going to go in here. And in the storeroom, in the base version of the storeroom, there's a coin and a key and a gem. There's a couple other things in here, and I'll examine them in a second, but I'll talk through the mechanics of these. So these are the limited resources you will have to explore the mansion during the day. Keys are used to open locked doors, pretty straightforward, but you need to make sure you have a steady supply of all of this stuff to keep your sort of momentum going for a day. Gems are actually a cost used to draft a room. So some rooms will have a gem requirement that you have to pay to select them as your choice. And usually they're better rooms, so we want to keep gems so we can pick better rooms, because the reason often we'll get forced into making a path that we can't proceed along is we don't have enough gems to pick a room that would give us some exits. And there are locations throughout the manor where we can spend money to exchange for items and stuff like that. So the storeroom's really cluttered. I don't think there's anything super interesting in here. Not that I found, although I have found some interesting clues later that may point to this room, so it might be more significant that I notice. The things I have found is right here. There's a picture of this is Swimbird. He's a character in a storybook in this universe. There's a chess piece here, a pawn. There's a puzzle later that we're going to solve that requires us to be very attentive to the chess pieces that are in each room. Here is one of our painting pairs, and here's the other.
What is that even?
I will explain. Yeah, this was on its side. I don't know if that helps.
Oh, sideways. It's a sand dune. Desert hill?
That's exactly right. So I'm going to just give away the solution to this puzzle. So the way these puzzles work is in each room there is, like I said, a pair of these paintings, and each painting depicts two English words that are one letter different, meaning one letter is removed from one of the English words to form the other. And the letter that is removed is significant. So in this case, it's dessert, which is a picture of flan, and they reuse them, so they remove different letters in certain circumstances. And a picture of a desert. So the letter that's removed is S. I'm going to go ahead and backtrack because this is a dead end anyway. And in here we have a crowbar and the prayer beads, but this is pray and pry. The letter that was removed is A. And in here we can actually see it from here. Those are an ace and a face. The letter that's removed is F. And if you look at the letters as they are placed in this, the blueprint of the level, they actually spell out the message. And I will explain a message, and the message is, if you count small gates, 8 dates crack 8 safes. So that's hinting at one of a broader puzzle that you're going to help me solve. I haven't fully solved this yet, but I take that to mean in this game, there are 8 safes or safe-like objects, including a small gate. There's one small gate, which we will probably open on this the first day. That they're codes. The codes to open them are dates. Now, I have found 6 of those, and I have opened 3. So we'll be looking for the other 2, and we're trying to figure out how to open the ones I haven't opened.
All right.
So I'm just going to go north from this hallway here. All right, we got a couple options here. The closet will get us some items. I might pick that. The guest bedroom gets us some steps. It's difficult to get steps on the first day. When we open that gate, which we will do today, we will actually do some of the meta progress, and that will get us more steps on subsequent days. But I think I am going to pick the guest bedroom in this case. Both are dead ends, so useful to get out early on. And in here in the guest bedroom, there is a key. These kind of drops are randomly generated. So often, not always, there's something on this table. And in this case, it was a key. So that's how we'll be replenishing some of our stuff. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else interactable in this room. And just to go through another one of these puzzles, this is stairs and stars.
Stars.
Yeah.
Got it. I assume you checked those drawers.
You can't so I'm gonna tell you the mostly truth. And the mostly truth is when you hover over something you can interact with, you get a hand cursor, or an eye cursor, okay. I can hover over this thing.
Swipe over it, and if you don't see the eye, then it's safe.
Yeah, but they do violate that rule at least once. So there may be things maybe more obscure than first glance. So I'm going to read this note here. The note says, Sinclair, just wanted to write you a quick note thanking you for the weekend. I had a thrilling time on the hunt with Lord Evanson, whose peculiar personality somewhat made up for your own absence. I also got to appreciate your new game in the billiard room. It's been ages since I've seen the billiard room in the house. I was beginning to suspect you had retired the floor plan. It was well worth the wait, though, as I always enjoy your mathematical puzzles and appreciated that I didn't need to know the rules of darts to play your variation. Hoping your health improves shortly, KL. And that's our bedroom. But anyway, so the reward I got for drafting the bedroom was awarded just by putting it in the mansion. So I got 10 steps there, and that's great because we're down to 54 again, and we started with 50. So I'm going to put the corridor here. I'm going to head over to the east wing. I think there's nothing interactable or interesting in the corridors. 2 more paintings. This is a
Line and a pin.
Yeah, you got it.
Nice.
And like, all this is just like non-interactable junk. Seems like. Okay, let's do the parlor here. See the first of some of the puzzles. So in the parlor is a painting of Sinclair. Did I see something interesting here once? Maybe I did. I'm trying to see. There's these weird. I don't even know. Like this, I will admit right out of the gate, and I think I've mentioned this before. This game makes me feel like a crazy person because there's like these little details all over, and I'm not sure if they're significant, but the more I play the game, the more I feel like they're significant. So I see things like, oh, I think there's like a little arrow over here somewhere. I don't think I actually see one here just now, but there are examples like that. So we got another chess piece in here. It's a pawn. A couple of non-interactable stuff on the shelves here. But this is the parlor game. I'm going to read the rules, and then we're going to play the parlor game. So May the 2nd is a date. Maybe that's important. Dear Herbert, it was a great honor receiving the invitation to dine at your estate with the Oldhams this past Thursday. Oldhams? If I'm being frank, it has been quite a while since we had been in decent society. We had been seen in decent society, and we were beginning to worry that my wife's wit had lost its charm. I have no delusions that my company rivals hers. Yeah, here's some paraphrasing. If I can refresh your memory, we both spent much of the evening discussing our mutual love of games and puzzles, and I had mentioned to you a rather singular parlor game I had played some years back involving 3 boxes of different colors. You had pressed me to write the particulars of this game when I found the time, and I have included it with this letter all the details you would need to share with guests should you be inclined to play this confounded game. Always yours, M. Lowry. That's the same initials as before, right? I think it is. I maybe have not made that connection before. Here's the rules. There will always be at least one box which displays only true statements. There will always be at least one box which displays only false statements, and only one box has a prize within. The other 2 are always empty. Not very informative. That's because I pick up here the wind-up key. So here's something I'd never considered. We're not going to do it just now. I'm going to use this wind-up key to solve the parlor game here. I don't think I've ever taken the wind-up key out of the parlor room. So that might be something we do on a future run. So here we go. These are the parlor game boxes. This box says, this box is black, so it must be true. This box says, the gems are in a true box. Its truth value is unknown. This one says, this box is blue. It's also true. So this box is false, right?
It's false, and it says it's in a true box, so it must be lying. It's in the false box.
So it's here.
Logic, yay.
And these puzzles get ridiculous. Like they start very easy, and every day it's a different puzzle, and it gets to where I can't solve them anymore consistently. But that's the parlor game and the parlor room, and at some point in the future we'll take the key out and see if we can find something else to do with it. Probably we can't. Ooh, some good rolls here. So I'm going to take the drawing room. Oh, we get to see the crazy room already. Drawing room is really good, but it costs a gem. So this is... Sorry?
Good thing we have gems.
Yeah, we have
Carry
3.
on.
This is the drawing room. So a couple of things going on in here. So I will read this note. This note says, drawing floor plans. Each time you click on a door, you will draw 3 floor plans from which you must select one to draft. However, there are some items and rooms that will allow you to redraw, not like your initial 3 options. And this room is one such room. We will have a free re-roll of our rooms as we exit the drawing room. Now, there's a couple other things going on in here. The first I will showcase is that there's a painting of Sinclair sitting in that chair there. But if you notice in the painting...
Already see that, yeah.
The arm of this candelabra is slightly askew. So that's a clue that we can actually adjust the arm of this candelabra, and it's going to reveal one of the safes over here. This is a safe I have found but do not know how to open. So if the the word puzzle clue from the manor layout is perfectly accurate. If I enter some date into this safe, I will be able to open it. I have not worked out what that date is. However, this is also one of the rooms that makes me feel like a crazy person, because if you look at the paintings on the walls, I've kind of already shown this to Shane a little bit, you'll notice that there are sets of paintings of this middle-aged man, this middle-aged woman, this elderly man, a horse, and a young boy. And furthermore, beneath each of them is an arrow that seems to be measuring out their strides. Does that horse not have a stride? No, that one does. I don't see a stride on that horse.
That you look at each wall long enough for me to take a screenshot to analyze later.
Totally. So here is a wall.
Yep.
You'll also notice that though the symbols are repeated, some of them are left facing and some of them are right facing. So I am fairly convinced that the substance, did you get the screenshot? I'll move on. The substance of the puzzle relates to the paintings on these walls in some way. And I have looked at them and tried to interpret them in a couple of different ways and not really come up with anything. My grave concern is that they might be Morse code, but I haven't been able to decode it. I don't know how to order these longs and shorts. They're there, I can see them, but I don't know how they're arranged, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there's just so many possible interpretations of this data. You've got left and rights, you've got counts, you've got longs and shorts, you've got number of paintings on each wall. I think we're going to need more information or a whole lot of trial and error.
I don't know if it's forthcoming, but we'll see. So that is a puzzle I have not ever solved, and it could have nothing to do with the paintings, but I'm pretty sure it does. And as a reminder, what I expect the outcome of this puzzle to be is a date that we can enter in this safe. I'm not certain that they're even related, but usually that's kind of how this stuff works. So far, all of the dates that I have entered into safes have been 4 digits. That does not mean they always will be. But that's everything that I found that's interactable in this room. So I'm going to open this door here. We're going to decide to place probably the den. The den is a good choice here. So I recently made some weird observations in the den that I haven't corrected. But the den always has a gem in it, so it's a good early placement. It's also got 3 exits. There's a lot of clocks in the den. He has a bat and a bath. A lot of clocks in the den room. And what actually drew me to this is you can actually look at descriptions of the room, and the description of this room called out the number of clocks. I'm like, that's weird. I should go check out all the clocks in the room. Here's a pawn. You got this grandfather clock. There's a couple of unusual clocks. I mean, this one's unusual in itself. But the ones that stood out to me are, this is a clock that accurately tells the in-game time, but the pendulum doesn't move. So that one's kind of weird. But more interesting is these 2 clocks, which have an arrow and kind of a V shape. I guess you would call that 3 arrows or 2 rays and well, I don't know what you call it. But those feel like they're significant, like nothing else has that written on it. And I have, in fact, historically, wow, it's actually maybe almost time for that to line up with the clock. So I have been here when that happens. It's very fortuitous timing. We'll just sit here and stare at these for a second and watch that they line up, and then they don't really do anything. But I suspect there's something to that. I don't know what it means.
11:04, 11:05.
Yeah, something like that.
Writing that down. Den 11:05.
Yeah, it's a time. Is that equivalent to a date? I don't know. 11:05.
Is this symbol on any other clock to be meaningful? Because if it's just those 2 tiny clocks that don't really look like
the symbol
clues.
does not appear on any other clock in this room. These arrows are the arrows I'm seeing all over the place that make me feel like a crazy person. So I will be pointing out more of them as I see them, but I don't know what they mean. This is a trunk. These are randomly placed in rooms also. They contain a handful of items that are usually useful to open, but they cost a key to open. So I'm going to ignore this trunk for a moment and hope that we get either more keys or there is actually a tool we could pick up that could let us open the trunk. But also, I think there's nothing else interactable in this room. I will say I always thought this kind of looked like a keyhole, but I don't know. It's not interactable.
Certainly not the right shape for the twist key from the previous room.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like. All right, well, what's from here? Okay, we got some good northern-facing exits, so I'm still going to go west here. I love observatory, but that would be pointed the wrong way. Oh, Nook is also pointed the wrong way. Everything's pointed the wrong way. So we're going to take observatory. Looks pretty good. We'll take observatory. So observatory gets us a couple of things. It gets an additional resource. So you'll see that while I'm in the observatory below my steps now, a new resource has appeared, and that's stars. So every time you enter the observatory, you get an additional star. And stars have some interesting effects. So here's our paintings. That's a bridge and bride. Bridge and bride. The observatory is a night room. And we have a book here that lays out the meaning of the stars. It's got a date on it. It's by Fenarians and Bird. It's in Fenaries. That's where we are. That's the location we are. It's by Bird and Sons Publishing in 1809. Written by Richard Witt. I don't know if there's any significant there. This book contains a complete star base, a list of constellations and the observed effects that accompany the appearance of each one. Depending on the number of stars that can be seen in the sky on any given day, different constellations of various sizes may be visible, sometimes more than one in a single day. This book is a solid base for astronomy, which will help you easily identify these constellations, impress your friends, and discover the joy of stargazing. So the meaning of that is, I'll explain before I read the rest of this book because it's relevant. In a moment, we're going to adjust this telescope so that we can look out the observatory, and we're going to see a number of stars in the sky equivalent to our star resource, which will be one. It'll be the North Star. They will be arranged in a certain combinations of the constellations we see in this book, and we will benefit from them in the ways that this book indicates. So today we will see one star, so we'll get the North Star bonus, and we'll get 1 gold for looking at it. 2 stars, the twins. We'll put 2 trunks in the entrance hall. 3 stars will get us 3 steps. 4 stars gets us a gem. 5 stars makes it more likely for rooms with 4 exits to be drawn. What is this? 7 stars make apples restore more steps. We haven't encountered any food yet, but there's food in the manor that we can eat to get steps back. 8 stars will get us a key. We get 5 gems if we have 11 stars. If we have 12 stars, we might make it more likely to encounter dead-end rooms. If we have 15 stars, we can purchase stuff for half off, but usually I just purchase everything before I get to this point anyway, so that's not really relevant. 20 gets us a benefit to rooms that are green. They will generate gems. I haven't really talked about room colors, so we can talk about that in a moment after I'm finished. And that's the last page of the book. So room colors. Let me pull up my map here. So you'll notice that some of these rooms have some colors. Most of these are blue. And blue are kind of standard manor rooms. 2 of them are orange. That means they're hallways. Hallways are easy to pass through rooms, and they have an association with keys. Purple rooms are bedrooms. And they're associated with generating steps. They're usually dead end. There's 2 other types of rooms. There's red rooms and green rooms. There might be 3 other types of rooms. I'll mention it if they come up. Green rooms are associated with gems, and they're like plant themed, and they're like, I usually tend towards green rooms. They're very lucrative. And the other color is red rooms, and red rooms usually have a bad effect associated with them. So let's adjust this here. Telescope, no, that's side to side. I actually need it to go up. I need to adjust from this here higher vantage. Oh, that's down. Try again.
You point it low enough to see in the big end? Doing it the wrong way?
Oh, well, we could try. I don't think so, but that's an interesting observation. I should not poo-poo any idea anyone has. I think it collides with stuff if you get it too low. Like it actually has collision. Yeah, it seems to have not proceeded beyond where it is.
All right. And is there anything on there if you go look at it?
Oh, it's right in the
assume
way. Look at that.
Well,
It's not something I considered before. So,
I don't see any
yeah.
items or paintings. It's
That's a
low
good thing.
detail text.
You're making me think out of the box already, Shane. I appreciate it.
hooray.
So I'm going to properly position it, but that was a good thought. That's more of that. Is that high enough? It might be one more. Yeah, it looks like one more. Okay, I think that's good. This away. Oh, I might actually need to go one higher here. No, I think it's right. All right. So now I can look into the telescope and look. It's the North Star, and we get a gold. Just like I said. And that's the observatory. And like I said, I almost never pass it up because collecting these stars is useful. And there's some crazy hacks you can do with the stars later on in the game. I'm going to start opening these northward facing doors here. Ooh, this is not great because it's reducing our options. So I think here I have to choose the spare room. Spare room is generally a completely empty room. A mechanic I haven't talked about is as we solve puzzles, we will get the opportunity actually to upgrade our rooms. The spare room is something you can convert into like a room that has stuff in it. Okay, so we're going to take the pantry here just because I'm concerned about moving us to eastward. The pantry is a good choice anyway because it gets us a little money and a piece of fruit. Now we're going to eat this banana. 3 steps. We're going to take this for money and we're going to read this note which says, Bridget, please pick up some more fruits before Friday as we have just been informed that we may have an extra guest exploring the house next week. 50 steps. Oh, they call them steps. That's great. 50 steps should be more than enough, so I think an even spread would be ideal. 5 apples, 5 bananas, and 5 oranges. Closed amount should cover expenses. Please bring back any change from the order and leave it in the pantry. I don't know what's relevant about that note other than it indicates like you can eat the fruit and maybe help you understand the value of the fruits and stuff and getting the money. So I don't think there's anything interactable in this room. I'll just kind of do
paintings.
A quick sweep over it. Oh yeah. So we got a fur and a fire, I think. I don't actually know all of them. Some of them I'm just like I don't get it, but
yeah, if we already know the solution, I'm just curious to see the what they are.
Yeah. No, none look like anything in here. And we'll be seeing these rooms again if we keep playing, so if you ever like you should go back to this room, we'll do it on a next run. Bedroom here. Chapel gives us some options. Maybe I do chapel. Chapel's a red room, so when we enter we're gonna lose a coin. And we probably will be traveling through it a couple of times. Sometimes there's coins or gems on the altars here, but not today. So there is a clue in the chapel here to another puzzle, and that is the order in which the gods appear on these stained glass windows here. I don't have my notes up. I should pull them up. I guess I will when we need to solve a puzzle. I already have all this information recorded, but just the key here is these are gods of I think they're gods of jobs, or they're angels, but they're angels whose aspect represents jobs that occur within the mansion. So this lady with a hoe, I assume a gardener, is number 1. It's just the order of these is important. So 2 is this baker lady, and 3 is this farmer. Are they all ladies? Lady. 4 is the chimney sweep. 5 is the maid. 6 is the horse mistress.
Jockey, yeah.
Jockey.
Just what do they call them in dressage? It's the horse riding jacket.
Yeah. And 7 is the scepter, the queen or whatever. This goddess is named Orindia, which will be irrelevant for a puzzle later. You don't learn that here, though. So, the other thing that's relevant in the chapel is these two candles here, and candles like them that have this particular sort of accoutrement, which is this little red like stuff on them. We can actually light those candles. We don't have a tool to light candles. In fact, it's extraordinarily difficult to get a tool to light candles, or light anything, but including candles. But if we did, we could light these and they would reveal a secret passage under the altar. And under that secret passage is a secret compartment, I should say, not a passage. We won't be going anywhere. But there's a piggy bank, and I think the piggy bank contains all the money that the chapel has taken up to that point. So,
Oh my.
and this is a bishop room. But apart from that, that's all there is to the chapel. And unfortunately, I think we're going to have to go through it 3 times here, so we're going to lose a lot of our early money here. What do we got? Bunk room, nook, all dead ends, so I'm going to put the bunk room here. God, I almost don't want to enter it to not get the chapel penalty, but we're showcasing stuff, so I will. So the bunk room counts as 2 bedrooms. Why is that relevant? That's because certain effects in the game refer to things like the number of bedrooms you have drafted, for example. We got a...
Fishing rod?
that's an interesting one.
Oh, Rod Road.
Rod and Road. Good one, yeah. It's got a hamster in here. He's non-interactable, but he just animates all the time. This
No
is...
microwave in the manager?
No microwave that I... Actually, there probably is a microwave, but...
Back to Maniac Mansion.
Yeah,
Carry
totally. So this, I think, is a room that Simon stayed in when he was young. We're going to read a note that's going to elaborate some of that. So there is something interactable here. I'm just like poking around at stuff. This actually is so very hard to read, but this is a clue to a later puzzle here that Vera has turtles in it. I don't know what the Trinsdale mystery is, and I can't read any of the other tapes. I wish I could. Since the Turtles of Trinsdale, not the Turtles of Vera, was relevant. But the one interactable thing here is actually this notebook here. You can hear about Simon and his, I don't know, younger brother, older brother? It's a journal from one of them. It says, "Today is a good day because Simon is at camp and he is not as much fun as my friends. I will not have to share my toys, and I will not have to share my room, and I will not have to share my snacks. Having a younger brother is not as much fun as they told me it would be, but today will be a good day because he's at camp." And then Simon replies, "Herbie is mean and really stupid, and today is a good day because I threw away his airplane. I also had more fun at camp than he has had in his entire life. Today is a good day because I got my brother in trouble for reading my private journal without my permission and writing mean things in it too. I also threw my model airplane in the bushes outside, but I got it back, and if he does it again, he will not get to go to the park on Friday, and I will make sure he gets no presents for his birthday. I don't need any presents because I have my brother's book because he won't stop writing about me. And today is a good day because I know he cries when he can't find his book, even though he's older. He is a crybaby. Today is a good day because my brother returns from college and I get to finally return to him the book I took from him long time ago. Hopefully you'll find it as hilarious as I do. I honestly have no idea how we survived sharing a room. All things being said, I wouldn't have it any other way," crossed out, says, "I still would rather have had a sister. Congrats on the diploma and welcome home, Simon." So a little bit of backstory there. But that's the only interactable bit to this room. And it is
Gun isn't interactable?
The gun isn't interactable? Where I even see? Oh, this gun is not. That's a toy gun, probably. Yes, but
Probably.
Nothing is interactable.
Carry on. Just have to be sure.
What?
Can never be too careful.
I mean, I know who I'm dealing with here, Shane, but what in this game would make you think that, like, oh, we should get a gun? It seems
Because you can.
Because you can. That's fair. Oh, this is a good one. We'll take this bedroom here because it curves the right way. Well, this room is free to walk through. You get 2 steps every time you enter this room. So there does not appear to be anything in this room. There's a pawn. Painting is a tiger. Where's the other painting? And a tear. This is a tear and a tiger.
Here.
You
I
know,
would not have guessed that.
yeah, some of them took me a while. There are several of these hands around, and I don't really know what they mean. I don't even know if they're significant. But there's one. So the other thing here is a postcard from Reddington. There seems to be very little information on it, so I can't imagine it's super relevant. But maybe. Secret passage. Okay, we got a couple of good choices here. Oh, I think I must take the security room. But everything in this selection is good. So we're going to take the security room. I think this is going to trigger a cutscene. It is.
Tense. I bet you wish you had a gun right now.
Alrighty, so the security room has a bunch of interesting and useful stuff in it, which is why I picked it early.
First thing you do is just leave all the
Yeah,
cameras.
Yeah, I
which are
forgot.
the most-
Well, I'm gonna go. There's kind of an order to how I want to go through things. There is a coffee maker, and here's your microwave, Shane. We found it.
All
Can't
right,
put the
put
hamster, in there
here.
yet. Yeah. So there's this bulletin board over here. Here's our pictures. That is a pilot and a
Breeze and
hmm,
pilot.
maybe and a plot. It's a pilot and a plot. There you go.
Good one.
So there's this stat. Oh, look, here's some of these freaking arrows. Why are there arrows? They drive me crazy. So there's a staff notice. It says effective the first week of December. Payroll for all live out and seasonal staff will be managed electronically as registered. As your attendance will no longer be registered at morning roll call. It is doubly important that you do not fail to clock in and out at one of the electronic computer terminals on the estate. 2 of these terminals can be found in security where a punch clock used to be. Boy, I'm having trouble reading it today. Where the punch clock used to be, and in the laboratory. Any questions or concerns regarding this process should be directed, as always, to our house manager, Mrs. Babbage. Terminal password is, and it's scratched out. So, an item we may find in our journey through the manor in a day is a magnifying lens, and we can use the magnifying lens to zoom in on any of these things I've been reading to you. And sometimes it reveals more information, and in this case, it makes it easier to read what the password is that's scratched out here. The password is Swan Song. There's a red note that says, until further notice, the antechamber has been unlocked, and access levers are no longer required to grant entry, and as a reminder, red notes are not true unless they're handwritten. What a silly thing to try to remember. Keycard access security doors are more likely to appear in the higher ranks of the estate. Likewise, as a redundant security measure, normal doors in the estate will also be more likely to be locked as you progress north. So both of those are true. But one of the benefits of the security room is we can access this terminal here. And there are 4 or 5, I don't recall, I think 4 terminals all throughout the manor, and each of them serves a slightly different purpose. So in the security room, we can view the estate inventory, which shows us what is in the state that we haven't collected yet. This will update as we unlock rooms. So if we get to a point where we have a lot of steps, but we're like, oh, I need something. Did I leave something somewhere? This will just give you a list of it. Doesn't tell you where it is, but it's a way to like verify that you've gotten everything. I almost never use them. The key card system I use every time I come into this. So the key card system, you can adjust the settings of the key card doors. And the reason you would want to do that is twofold. First of all, I'm going to access the security settings here and set the security level to low. The first of those reasons is I don't have a way to get through security doors currently. So by setting it to low, I make it less likely for security doors to spawn. If I already had a way to get to security doors at this point, I'd set it to high, and then I'd be very happy to encounter them as going forward, because they replace regular doors, and you might not need a key if you have a way to access them. So we're going to set that to low. We're also going to change the offline mode to unlocked. This will reset every day, so every time we encounter the security room, you'll see me do these two things probably. And I do this because one of the ways we can get through the security doors is by disabling their power. If we get the breaker room somewhere in the manor, I can turn off the power to security doors, and then they will be unlocked when we encounter them. So low unlocked, and I do the unlocked because I might encounter the breaker room later. But this is the default setting I like to set them to, again, unless I have a way to get through the security system. So that's that. Oops, there's actually one other option here. So we can log into the network. As I said, the password is Swan Song. There's not a whole lot we can do from the security room, but we can do a couple of things. And this is mostly just going to be for information purposes, like clues and stuff. So we can access the staff services, punch in and out, but this service has been disabled. I will make an observation here, because this is a clue in this note. There's clues to this all around, but we will encounter one of the locks, the safes. One of the safes, one of them that I've opened already, is a time lock safe. And in order to open it, you have to use a terminal like this terminal and set the date and time for it to open. So actually need to know what the in-universe date and time are, and this is a hint about it. And I think that it's actually November 6th. I think the first day is November 6th. So this is part of some of the clues sort of pointing in this direction. Anyway, it says the service has been temporarily disabled. As of November 4th, all work has been suspended at Mount Holly, and all domestic staff have been placed on extended paid leave in accordance with instructions left by the old man himself. See Mrs. Babbage for more details. We can look at the staff announcements. It's Saturday, November 7th. Maybe it's the 7th. That's interesting. Can't be the 6th, because that would be in the past. I don't think anyone else has access to the network this month except you, Simon, so if you're reading this, just know we're all rooting for you, your friends in faithful service. We can request schedule change, but again, that's been disabled. Same text. We can place a special order from the network, which is if we can place the commissary, it will have items that we special order here. But because that's so far in advance, I never really bothered to do any of this. The commissary usually has useful items anyway. And that's it. That's all we can do from here for now. Later on, we'll actually be getting into the server room, and we will be able to access email from all of the terminals. We can only access email for now. Oh, sorry, that was just staff services. We got another couple options here. I'll go through them, and I won't talk about the email just yet. So we can do the remote terminal access. This is if we have active terminals anywhere in the manor, we could activate them here. There are no other active terminals, as you can see, but this will give you a clue as to where they are. There's one in the office, one in the lab, and one in the shelter. We can access electronic mail, but we can't do that from this computer. We can only do that from the office. Later on, we'll be able to remove that restriction. And each individual computer has its bespoke set of emails, so there's like different clues in all of them. Data transfer, we need to access the server room to be able to enable this. This is not probably relevant for any of the puzzles we're going to solve. This is lets you merge information from different save slots. So if you've like done a challenge trophy in one save slot and want to bring it over here, you can do that using the data transfer. It's also got a full glossary of all the keywords that we'll encounter, and I'm not going to bother going through or reading them unless you guys insist I do at some point. That's all we can do from this security terminal. As Shane observed, there's a bank of monitors here that you can look at. They're not really super useful, except that they depict a whole bunch of rooms that we can get to. Some of them are duplicated. So that's
one of them is going to show that a password in it somewhere. I mean,
maybe it's entirely possible. This is the library. This is the music room. That's the wine cellar. This is the vault. That's the nook. That's the spare room. This is the, what is the name of that room? Storeroom.
Storeroom.
And the reason I said that the storeroom feels significant is later on we're going to find a picture, a drawing of this middle part of the bank of monitors. And it's going to have a scribble over the storeroom, I think. Maybe it's the office. Maybe I misjudged that clue. But I think it's a storeroom. And that's why I'm like, oh, maybe there's something more to it than I'm aware. This is one of the hallways. I'm actually not sure which. The office. This is walk-in closet. That's the security room. That's where we are. Nursery. The archives. Here's another angle on the nook. Might be the same angle. It looks like it's the same angle. This is the, I forget the name of this room is. Gallery. There's a casino room, the ballroom, the pool, and the vault again. Two of them are the vaults, and two of them are the nook.
Right.
There is a
repeating textures that makes me think that's just filler.
It could be. It could be. I do notice that there's a glow in the back of the monitors in the middle. That could be a mistake or a bug, but I do stare at it a lot.
Yeah, I kind of think that's just the texture of the table painted on.
And there's also a note here on the desk. And it's, oh, here's our clue. Blue memos are true, and red memos are lies. And in this text, which you could see much better if we had the magnifying glass, it says, unless written by hand. But I think that's it for the security room. The security room is a night room. Clock here. Symbols on the clock. There's something on the clock, but I can't make out what it is.
Looks like just a horizontal arrow. Not the V that the other ones had.
It almost looks like words.
Oh yeah, as you get closer, it does look.
But not words I could see for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're going to go south here. What do we got? Nook, weight room, or kitchen? I think we're going to take Nook here because we get a free key from the Nook. I don't think there's... The Nook is surprisingly non-interactive. Even though we got like a jukebox here, it does not seem interactable. What do we got here? A coat and a cot. That one's pretty easy.
Yep.
It's a rook room. I may have already said that. Oh, there's a note we can read. As you continue your adventure, you may want to consider getting something to scribble down your notes and observations, a pad, a scrap of paper, or perhaps most fittingly, a journal. Proved to be an invaluable tool. You will not regret having beside you on your journey. Oh, no.
What beside is in a different font?
Is it? Kind of. Maybe that's significant.
What did you just notice?
Well, I noticed that there's a depiction here that may not be relevant, but I would really like to zoom into it. So
Yes.
At some point, if we find the magnifying lens, we should remember to apply it to the note in the Nook. Because it will enlarge it, and there may be, like, they use different textures. Like, that's one of the tricks. So you may get some detail that is not immediately obvious from the dining room. Yes. From the overview. We're going to go to the dining room. The dining room is not going to be immediately useful, but it has a meal in it that you can collect once you've reached rank 9. Oh, sorry, I should talk about ranks. So ranks are just how far you've gone into the mansion. We've gone 5 ranks in. Once we get to rank, actually it might be 8. 8, yeah. the meal will be served in the dining room. We can go back here and get some food, and the food always gives you at least 20 steps. But there are criteria you can satisfy to let it give you more. So that's how you keep your longer runs going. I'm going to proceed south here. Locksmith is pretty good. I don't have any money, though. Well, West Wing Hall is perfect, because then I can get to these remaining 2 spaces. We're going to do the West Wing Hall. So the West Wing Hall is mostly empty. It's a crow and a row. But it's got a note about the death of Lady Clara Epson, who was the matriarch of this family. So out of respect for the late Lady Clara Epson, the West Wing will be closed until further notice. While the floor plans associated with this wing have not been removed from the pool, we ask that staff members refrain from drafting them during this period of mourning. And it continues, but we can't read it. Likewise, any staff is probably that word. Who knows? May draft southern, I don't know. Her bedroom is on the west wing. This is so annoying. I think it's the only room that has such strict requirements. Her bedroom's on the west wing, which means this column, but can only be recruited by moving south. So we might get it if we open this door. Probably we won't, though. At the boudoir, I'm going to take the mailroom here because the mailroom's really awesome. Closet, yeah, I think that's the right choice. Mailroom. So the mailroom does one really, really useful thing. So when you enter the mailroom, you order a package, and the next time you enter a mailroom, it will contain some items. And it's really useful to get some items that way, especially if you upgrade the room, you can have them actually delivered to the entrance hall instead of the mailroom. There's also a letter in here and some notes. First note says, please return all correspondence and packages addressed to Denny Ravine to sender, as he is no longer employed with our staff. So we're going to piece together some lore about what is going on and has gone on in this mansion. And this Denny Ravine fellow, I think, is the former gardener who was blackmailing Herbert Sinclair, and they figured it out and fired him. This note says, it's a note about the utility room fuse box. More detailed instruction will be sent by electronic mail. The address the client has provided. But I already know the solution to this puzzle. If we encounter it, I'm going to just blow through it. It's going to be really confusing. There's 3 clues that tell you a series of buttons you have to press to make things a certain color that is in the fuse box room or whatever, the breaker room. So press any button above to activate blue. That's a clue that means you can't get these colors to turn blue until all of them are green. Plus a blue indicator next to a red to create purple. 5 purple will let you turn the 6th color purple, and then the other clues are in the emails, and we'll read those later. But if I encounter the breaker room, I'm just going to do it. You also in here can get, here's our painting. That's a plane. Where's the other drawing? And a plan. A plane and a plan.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Here's a letter from your dad. We got a red stamp here. Hey, buddy, how's it going up there in that big house? I think most people would be pretty scared being alone for this length of time, but I have a feeling you're doing just fine. I imagine you happy as a clam, perfectly content on the estate with the exploration and opportunities for adventure that present themselves each day. As I'm writing this, you're currently in the garage you're in the garage packing the tent. I wanted to try to post this letter before we depart tomorrow so that it is a chance to arrive during your first few days on the estate, but with all the preparations, I'm not sure I'm going to find the time. There's so much I want to say, and I'm sure I will get to tell you Friday night. Sometimes it's easier for me to just jot this stuff down. You're yelling at me right now to come bring you a pillowcase. Hold on a second, I'll be right back. I can tell you're really excited, but I think you might feel a little guilty about being so happy the day after the funeral. Believe me, I know how Uncle Herbert worked on setting this, how long, actually, Uncle Herbert worked on setting this up for you, and I know from our conversations just how much happiness this final project brought him, so do both of us a favor, be excited. The house is really amazing. I know it's been almost 7 years since we were last up there, and I'm really curious to hear just how much you remember from those summer trips. You've always been smarter than me at this kind of thing, so I'm not sure how much guidance or inspiration I can offer you before your trip that will actually be useful to you. Despite my best intentions, I'm sure that on Friday, I'll end up leaving you with a few of my overused cliche expressions when we say farewell. Later, alligator, Dad. P.S. Get some sleep each night and don't spend all your time each day playing dirigiblocks. So later on, we can cause more letters to be delivered here. And that is probably a source of clues I haven't completely exhausted, so that's something we should be working towards. We'll stick the closet here because it's a dead end. The closet is guaranteed to spawn with 2 items. In this case, there's this gem, which is useful. And this is a sleeping mask, which is an item. It's our first item of this run, apart from the parlor key. The first time we enter a bedroom with the sleep mask, we gain 5 steps. And that includes bedrooms we've already placed, so that'll be useful. But there's nothing else interactive here, but yeah, tie in a tier. We're actually being very successful exploring for our first day. Okay, so we got some options here. They're all dead ends. The wine cellar will have 3 gems in it. That's probably the right choice in this case. I can't help but feel there's probably... Oh, this is an interesting one. What is this? A tub and a tube.
Yep.
So 3 gems here. Here's the Sinclair family crest. I think that's what that is. And a date on it. The date is 1208. That is actually the key code to one of the safes I know how to open. So that is significant. I don't know why it opens the particular safe it does. It was kind of, I was like, oh, I'll put in this random date, and it worked. But I kind of didn't really solve that puzzle correctly. But it is what it is. I can't help but feel there might be something significant to arrangements or colors of the wine bottles in here, especially because I don't know if it's coming through on the stream, but there's sort of a little hum in this room, like a low rumbling.
Yeah, gonna have to mouse over each wine bottle individually to see which one opens the secret box with the.
There doesn't seem to be anything interactive. Like I almost wonder what it makes me feel like is it's somehow connected to the server room, and the server room. It'll be a long time before we get in there, but when we get in there, it's such a disappointment because it's like the introduction of a bigger puzzle. There's like a chip or something in there that you can insert into a slot, but there's 2 additional ones that are missing. So it's just like, hey, congrats, you got here. Now figure this out. I haven't figured any of it out. Locked door. Is that our first locked door? It might be. Okay, well, breaker box is a good choice, but utility box is a good choice. Yeah, it really restricts our navigation. I think I'm going to pick courtyard. I might actually... Should I backtrack? I guess I don't have a lot of steps, so that's probably not the best choice. We have plenty of gems, so we'll do the courtyard. The courtyard's a green room, and... Oh, there's our first keycard. Oh, we got a shovel! The courtyard often has items in it, and this time it has a shovel in it. Shovel is really useful because we can use it to dig these piles of dirt and get useful things like this turnip, which gave us 6 steps.
Dig something up and eat it. No questions.
For this, nothing of interest. But yeah, our first tool. And we can't get through there because it's keycard door, which means I actually kind of hope I can re-roll the breaker room here. Let's see if that happens. All right, it didn't happen. We got patio, terrace, and billiard room. Those are all going to be dead ends here. I think what I'm going to choose is the billiard room because the billiard room is a guaranteed key. And I will explain why in a moment. So in the billiard room, there seems to be a lot of stuff that's not interactable. What do you think that is?
Wheat and rain.
Grain
and rain.
Grain and rain, yeah. Sometimes there's stuff on the counter here. There's not in this case a non-interactable pool table. But here's the parlor room or what the billiard room game that is darts related that the man mentioned in the letter. This is not
Yes.
a darts game. This is a math game, and it also gets very, very complex later. And initially, there's some clues that teach you the rules, which are like
Plus minus.
yeah. But that's very misleading because the way this game actually works is even though for a long time we're going to do these operations in order, the order does not matter. It's actually the color of the slot that matters. So blue is addition, which means the solution to this puzzle is when you're going to do several in sequence. So the initial solution to this puzzle is 14. And then we're going to add 1 to 2 to get 3. And this is subtraction, so we're going to take 19 and subtract 2 to get 17. Oh, did I do it wrong?
19 minus 13.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's what I get for doing that live on stream. So 19 minus 13 is 6. And then 18 minus 6 is 12. And then this is multiplication, so 5 times 2 is 10. And this is 20 minus 18 is 2 times 6 is 12. And that was our first puzzle. Oh, and we got the key card. That's
Hey, look at
great. So,
Perfect timing.
yeah, that is really fortuitous.
You planned this very well.
Apparently.
Now you need to go back to the security room and turn on max security.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps from... Oh, no, it's actually right next door. I should definitely do that. I'm going to place the office. Before I walk in there, I am going to do that.
Yep, fewer steps. Well, it's right here. Neat. I love it when a plan comes together.
That was a weird happenstance, but I'm glad we caught it on the camera. All right, hi. So we are now more likely to encounter security card doors, which means we are less likely to need keys, but we'll need a bunch of keys, so that will be a problem. Okay, so in the office, oh, that's great. So we get our first upgrade disc. I'm going to snag that, and we're going to immediately upgrade something. Upgrade discs we use at computer terminals, and I often forget to do this, so please help me remember. I can't tell you the number of times I found an upgrade disc and abandoned the day or just went off and fucked around until I ran out of time and didn't actually use it.
Right.
They're very hard to come by, so they're hugely rewarding. All right, so we get to upgrade the storeroom, and we're going to have 3 options here. The option I generally like is the one with extra gems. Early on, 10 money is really useful. Longer term, I think the gems are more useful. So that's what I'm inclined to do, unless we have an inclination that we're not going to stick to this save slot for very long, in which case the money is probably better. So I'm just going to pick the 2 gems. Yes. So the next time we encounter the storeroom, it will have 2 gems instead of 1 in it. And that's great. There's a whole lot of crap going on in here, in this room. Not the least of which is there's another of the... Here's one of these. Boy, I'm just now noticing these hands. Like they're all around, but I wasn't drawn to them before. More hands? Just that one. What does it mean? We'll operate the computer first. So in the office, we can run payroll. We're not going to do that. But what payroll does is if you have the servants' quarters and maids' chambers, it puts money in them. No, we don't need to do that. We can spread gold in the estate. We will do that. It just puts gold in rooms that you have already placed. So I'm going to do that, and that'll let us get a couple more coins in this run. And we can get on the network here. And importantly, it has the same options as all the networks, but we can access the email from the office. So we're going to read a couple of email messages. So electronic mail. So first one from Ann Babbage. Says, Sir, you have not left me any instructions for the following week, and you know how much I hate leaving critical plans up until the last minute. As soon as you decide on a definite plan for the holidays, please pass a message to me either through Hartley, who is valeting for you this weekend, or if you absolutely insist, through this confounded electric typewriter. Ann Babbage. Well, I don't think that's significant, but maybe that not being significant is significant. Here's two of our clues about the fuse box code. Gabe, yes, that's the correct functionality. Also, when you're out here next week, please text that the correct sequence is off, blue, green, white, red, purple. So that's the colors we're going to try to arrange the box in if we encounter it. Thanks for the due diligence on this project, H.S. Sinclair. Change it to the state. Dear Herbert, we just wanted to let you know that the changes you requested to your will have been implemented and notarized if your premonition, God forbid, should bear fruit. Rest assured that your plans will be executed down to the last detail. McGuire, McKinley, and McDougall. And more fuse box information. The VIC indicator light installed per instructions have been turned on. However, it should be noted that the white indicator is only displayed after syncing all 6 indicators to purple. This is not the desired functionality. Let us know and we'll fix it in our regular service. Visit next week. Gabe for DC Power. So those two clues here and the one we found in the mailroom are sufficient to solve that puzzle. But I'm just going to put it all together if we encounter that room. All right, so that's everything we got on the computer. We have a photograph that we can look at here, which is of, I think that's Mary. I think that's my mom. That might be the matriarch, though. I'm unsure. It doesn't look like there's anything of significance in this photo, but again, always useful to look at those things with the magnifying glass because sometimes there's little hidden details. Here's a note that says, the antechamber lever in the greenhouse is broken again. I don't think there's enough time to put another work order in before Simon arrives, so just make sure the west and east levers are operational. So what that's referring to is the antechamber is one of the 2 fixed things that are always on the map in the same location, and that's this room up here. To enter it, we actually need to flip some levers, and there's levers for each of the exits and entrances to the antechamber. One of them is broken. So we might find an item we could find is the broken lever, and if we do find it, we could use it to open the broken, I guess I'm using the same words for both parts, but like the handle broke off of the lever. You can find the handle and shove it in there and make it work. But it
in the greenhouse, right?
Yeah. And there's also a drawer here which we can open. And in this drawer is this very, very suspicious note that I have not worked out the meaning of yet. It says, Bridget, please check if any books matching these titles are available for purchase in Reddington, Flight of the Queen, March of the Count, Fall of the Lord, Passing of the Barons, and Herrings of the Major. And of those 5 books, March of the Count is in black, and the rest are in red. Had a little trouble reading the Baron's writing, so I'm not sure if the last title is intended to be hearings or herrings, but knowing Herbert, I suspect that either would be suitable. Now, what do I know about this note so far? Kind of not a whole lot. There's a couple of words that sort of are reminiscent of times or dates, like March and fall and stuff like that. We know that some of the handwriting was misinterpreted, so there might be further slight adjustments to the actual text of this note that need to be made. The titles, Queen, Count, Lord, Baron, and Major, we don't know this yet, but they correspond to the busts of these people that we'll be able to identify. There's a certain room that identifies all of these people by name and by title. So those 5 correspond to 5 of those people. And importantly, the count is this gentleman here, the one that's different. Why is that important? Because his little switch in the drawer, once turned, will move him out of the way and reveal another safe that I don't know how to open. So we need to figure out a date for this safe. I haven't solved this puzzle yet.
Those people will be associated with numbers somehow.
I got real excited one day. Started counting the number of busts in this room because there are multiples of some people. Like here's another count, for example, and here's a third, and so forth. But that didn't really lead me to anything. Oh, look, here's a photo I can look at. Let's see here. There
Just ones
are
and
a
twos for
couple of
everybody.
busts of them elsewhere in the manor, so I don't know if that's relevant. Like there's a couple of them in the entrance hall, even. So maybe the sum of those is relevant, but even so, I don't know how to put them together, make a date or a combination or anything. But, there's something there. We'll figure it out, or think about it at least. I didn't quite catch the last thing you said, Shane. What was that?
No, there aren't enough statues in this room to get to interesting numbers,
Sure.
unless the password is 001 or 12112
I was
or something.
really inattentive for a long time, but this is actually the king room, which is the only one. Well, that's not true. I think there's two of every room, at least. What do we have here? We have a plane.
Plane and planet. That's not the same.
Maybe that would be
Or
T.
yeah. Plane
Yeah.
and planet. T.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Good solution. Yeah. So, yep, we'll come back to that, I guess. But that's one of the puzzles I have not worked out. What else can I say about? Oh, I was stalling to remember what I wanted to say a moment ago. So, there's a picture of this room, and maybe this is what's relevant in terms of the approach I was doing earlier, counting the bus. So in the manor, if we draft it, is a what do you call that? Where they develop film, a dark room. That's the word I was looking for. And in the dark room are a whole bunch of pictures that you can examine, and one of them is a picture of this room from kind of like this angle. So it might show more or less busts if that's related to this puzzle. I don't know. I haven't ever figured out what the purpose of that picture was. It actually helped me realize that the king was here because you could see it clearly in the picture, but I didn't notice every time I ran through this room. So if we get to the dark room, I'll show that stuff up. Well, if we get to the dark room, asterisk, because when you enter the dark room, the power goes out, and then you have to find the breaker room to turn it back on in the dark room. Oh, that's a shame. We got the conference room right after the office. I think I'm going to take the conference room. Should I take the conference room?
Yeah. Navigation.
Secret passages. How many keys do I have? Not enough. Oh, it's so tempting. So there is a challenge / achievement to reach room 46 on your first day. I don't think we're set up to do it, but if I were trying to do it, I would pick the secret passage here. But I would need a lot of keys, which I'm not likely to get in because my only other exit here would be the drawing room. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with Shane, and we're going to put the conference room here. So a couple of interesting things in the conference room. There's our paintings there of a paint and a pint.
Yep.
So first, the conference room rules, and this is why I'm disappointed because this would be great to get right before the office. So spreading is a keyword. Spread. Some special rooms allow you to spread items throughout your house. When items are spread, they are immediately placed in some of the rooms currently in your estate. However, if you have a conference room, spread items are gathered into that room instead. So I could have, when I spread the gold from the office, it would have all gone into the conference room. I could have just walked in here and picked it up. But I found it after, so no such luck. So there's a note here that says, reminder, after the meeting adjourns, take all the conference room notes and take them into the office safe. So it refers to the safe we were just looking at. And here's a red note that tells you the safe code, but it's red, so it's incorrect. I have tried a couple of permutations of this. Now, as a reminder, there's supposed to be dates, right? So I have tried a few permutations, including moving the 3 and the 0 at the beginning to make like a March date, like 0398 or something like that. I don't know if I've actually tried it backwards. We can try it backwards. It's very nearby. So it would have to be 3809? Worth trying.
Yeah.
3809. Nope,
The other option is if it was 9803, then it's 0398.
03. That one I'm sure I've done, because that one sounds like a date.
Yep. Okay, carry on.
I can do 0389 as well. Actually, this is, I think we're before 1998, so that's probably not a date that we would use. All right. Back in the office. Do I want to go right? I kind of need to fill in more on the right here, so I'm gonna go right. I have a feeling we're gonna run into a bunch of keys. Oh, the breaker room. It's a dead end, but I could use the breaker room. I think I might take it.
But that would, what does that get us besides the security doors that we don't need?
The breaker room has 4 purposes. I'm gonna take it, but I'll explain before I take it so you understand. The VAC code that we were breaking in the office, we can input there, and that will get us meta progress that will let us get more gems every day. It lets us turn the power back on in the dark room if we encounter it. We haven't encountered it, so maybe that's not relevant. It lets us turn the power off in the security doors, which, as you said, we don't need. I guess it's got 5 purposes. I'm going to count through. Well, I'll just take it. I'm going to take it anyway, so I'll go in there and I'll show you everything. So we got a plan and a fan. Plan and a fan. But
right.
nothing else in here. So I turn the keycard system off. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I could. It doesn't really matter. I can turn the gymnasium. Oops. Weird interpretation of where I clicked. I could turn the gymnasium off. The gymnasium costs you movement every time you walk through it, unless the power is off. The dark room also, I mentioned before, when you go in there, the circuit breaks, so you have to turn it back on here to see anything in there. The garage, if we get to the garage and it's powered, I can actually open the garage door, and that's also going to get us some meta progress. That would be zany. We might be able to do a lot of meta progress on the first day. But the other thing I can do here is solve this puzzle. So let me pull up my notes about this then. The VAC puzzle. We wanted everything to be green, right? I think to start. And that will enable blue. Yes. Now we need to make everything purple. Do that like this. And that'll let us do white. We find the code. Code in my notes. Maybe I don't have the code in my notes. Maybe I have it in a picture. Hold on a second. Should have been more prepared. It's just from that email we were just reading. Now I need the final sequence. Here it is. I have it handy. So we want to do off, blue, green, white, red, purple. So we need to start with white. We can only make white when all of them are purple, and I think the rest we can do just left to right. Blue, green, red. I need to do this together.
Oh. Exciting.
So big puzzle, meta progress puzzle. Go in here and flip this gigantic switch. That's going to open. We actually haven't been anywhere outside yet, but there's an exterior part of the mansion. I just opened a gate in the exterior part of the mansion to a gem mine. So now that it's unlocked, we will start each day with 2 gems. And that's sort of the rogue light portion of this game. Is you can, by solving really complex puzzles, you can improve your ability to do everything, basically.
That is good progress.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna run out of keys here, I bet. Ooh, workshop already. Oh man. I gotta take the workshop, especially because it's my only path forward. Oh, and it's a keycard door. This might actually work out. So workshop is great. I'm gonna grab a sledgehammer here. The sledgehammer lets you shatter trunks
Hey, we got
without
locked trunks in
using
the room.
keys. Here is the 8th piece of a series of sheet music that there's hidden, at least one, and I suspect 2 hidden messages in. So I don't know if you want to take a screenshot of that, Shane. I can provide screenshots of most of this stuff, and of course we'll have the video to refer to if we want it later. But we'll be picking up other pieces of this, and there's words in bold on them first that indicate how to find the first message, and the first message I think is just the first word on each page.
All right.
But I have reason to believe
Take
there's
your word for it.
more messages. Let me see some information about like the construction of the parlor puzzle here. But this is the workbench. This is how we make advanced tools. So in order to make, like I mentioned earlier, a tool that can light fires, we need certain other tools, and we bring them here and we can combine them. So I think I can't combine any of the items in my inventory currently, but if I had a couple of others, we could make some interesting stuff here. And the advanced tools are super useful. There's 2 in particular. That one that lights fires is very useful. You can also make a powered sledgehammer, and you can use that to break certain walls. And all of that stuff is permanent progress. So very exciting to have the workshop, even though I can't use it just yet. I think we're dealing with time here. I don't think there's anything else interactable here. Let's see if what I really want to see here is garage. That would be perfect. Show me the garage. Dang. We got the boudoir, which lets us continue our journey at least. Yes, that's oriented the correct way. The garage is always on the west side of the property, which is why I thought I would be likely to bump into it. So the boudoir is where the easiest safe in the game is. First of all, over here on this nightstand, what do you call this? A vanity, I guess, is a picture of this room at Christmas time. So the code to this safe is 1225.
Who would ever set the combination of their safe based on that? That's terrible. I hate it.
Someone designing puzzles.
That's...
So in the safes, we typically find a red gem, and it's important to note that no other gems are red in the game, because there's sort of a multi-layered mystery to this, and I think that it has a lot to do with political intrigue, and I think it has to do with the theft of the crown jewels of the nation, which I think are what these red gems are we were collecting. We also will often find these red envelopes, envelope number 4, and they have messages from people in the family in them. This one says, Herbert, I was distraught to learn that you have chosen to omit the details of our dear Marion's disappearance, in scare quotes, from the public record. It is no surprise to me that the royal court would want this embarrassment kept as quiet as possible, but I'm shocked that you have so little regard for your niece that you would play the king's scullion and stoop to kissing the foot that treads upon her memory. She gave up her family, her fortune, and her life, and all you can do is think of your name. Having never had a family name nor fortune of my own, I cannot personally condemn you for faltering in your commitment to make the same sacrifice as she did, but for the love of God, do not, by that same display of weakness, clutch your petty assets so tightly that you undermine the cause that she forfeited everything to further. That's difficult to say. Our countrymen must be made aware of the price she paid, and must be made to see the color of the flag she flew as she rode into the darkness of 100 nights. To deny her story is to deny her life. If through your silence you bless this betrayal, our son Simon, your heir, will inherit a fortune of lies, spit upon your grave when he learns of your cursed foolishness. Needless to say, we will not be coming for Christmas this year. Daniel. Oops, that's our first letter. And you'll notice those are recorded in the UI, including and also the permanent editions we've achieved. So we haven't met Alizar yet. In a room called the Rumpus Room is a mechanical fortune-telling machine, and he costs a coin to operate, and he will tell us really weird, cryptic stuff. And one of the things he tells us is that we will be looking for and finding 8 red letters, or rather, what specifically he says is that 8 red letters exist, and we will probably only find 7 of them. So I don't know if the goal is to find all 8 or to find 7 of the 8, but we found one now, and I know the location of a couple of others. It's probably obvious at this point, but the whole spiel at the beginning of the game about us getting to room 46, that's actually like a very small part of this game. It's not very difficult to get into room 46, and once you do, there's all these other like weird mysteries going on, and you continue playing, and that's what we're going to be working at solving.
No chess piece in this room?
The chess piece is... I don't know if I see it. I don't think every room has a chess piece. But yes, you are correct. Oh, another thing I will observe, I don't even know if this is relevant. This could also be a mistake. There's a weird pattern on the inside of this safe. And when I saw this, I got really excited, and I looked at the other safes I can open, and there's not weird patterns on the inside of those. So it could be just a mistake or something. I don't know what that means. Maybe there's weird patterns in the safes I haven't been able to open yet. All right, so this is probably going to be locked. Yeah. So we got to backtrack all the way back to the drawing room, and we need to find us some keys. We will find money along the way. We have 38 steps. That's actually not bad for this point in the game. Does either of you remember where the trunk was? I think it was in the den. Yeah.
Correct.
So we'll
I wrote it down.
Back to the den and smash that trunk, and hopefully that'll get us some keys. And we can continue our journey, but while we're backtracking...
for spread gold on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Spread gold in here. Don't see any. Make sure I'm not going the wrong way. I'm going to go through the bedroom. Is that right? Yes. Oh, my money.
Not seeing a lot of spread gold.
Yeah, me either. There's a little bit. Here's some.
Okay, I've seen enough spread gold. Bonk.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
okay,
geez.
well, we got a lot of gold. I guess the next thing...
Commissary.
Yeah. So we'll go through... We do have to go through the drawing room. We didn't get a key, so that may mean we may be very short-lived here. I don't think this door will be locked, but if we keep going, we're definitely going to encounter some locked doors pretty soon. Greenhouse we can't use here. East Wing Hall's pretty good. I'm concerned if I re-roll, I won't get something we can pass through. So maybe I'll just take the East Wing Hall.
Take it.
And East Wing Hall does not have anything in it of interactable.
Mountain and peas. Peak and peas.
Yeah. There you
Peak
go.
and pea.
All right. Okay. Well.
It's the dark room, but kind of a long run to get back to the utility closet to turn the lights on.
That's true. I'm trying to think of... There's a good chance either room I place will have a locked door unless it has a key card. I think dark room is right. I think I should go to the utility closet. Because dark room, I think, typically has one item in it, and it might be a key.
It costs like 20 steps to get there and back.
Well,
But I guess we're running out of options
let's
anyway.
count the steps. What will it actually cost? It might be 20. You might be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's almost 20.
and then back again.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be Maid's Chamber. Maid's Chamber is a dead end. Secret Passage is actually pretty great because it lets you choose the color of the room it connects to, and it proceeds through. It's a passage forward, despite how the art looks. Now the problem is it can be locked.
Yeah, we have a utility closet and a dark room.
All right, yeah, that's a good argument.
Combination.
That's a good argument. All right, so I'm going to place the dark room. I think I do have to step in for the lights. Oh, look, we got a keycard room. That's perfect, actually.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now the question has become, so the effect of the dark room is I can't see the plan we're drawing while drafting in the room. So I could randomly pick a plan for the next room, or I could go back to the closet and turn the lights back on, and that will disable that effect. And then I'll have my pick of plans, but again, now it is 20 steps and then some, which is most of the steps I have left.
Yeah, I feel like the run is coming to an end.
Yep, so. And I do want to actually do a little bit of stuff outside, so yeah, you're right. I think we should roll for it. Okay, so we got... So
the lights above those, previous ones were 1s and 2s. That 4, does that mean like a super rare room?
I think that's what that means. What would be a rare room on the eastern side that costs nothing? I bet it's going to be something like the greenhouse, which is a dead end, but all right, we'll take it. Oh no, it was the furnace. The furnace is the dead end and the worst kind because it makes it more likely for you to encounter other red rooms. But there's a dig spot, so maybe we can get us a key. Come on. That was silly. Okay, so technically the run continues, if we were so inclined.
Yeah. Get to the boudoir, or go back there, stop in the utility closet and turn the lights on, hit the boudoir, go forward, hit rank 8, now we can go back to the dining room and get 20 steps.
That's true. I can also step into the guest bedroom for 5 because of the mask.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I should have and didn't. I can go into the bunk room for 10.
Yeah, hit that on the way in.
It cost me money. Ironically, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside because I want to make sure we do some of the things I wanted to do outside before we lose the day.
Eyes out for gold.
Yeah, I didn't see any. Well, it's nighttime. We've been in this manor a long time. It's been kind of a slow run for the first day. So, yeah, you can just leave. It took me a few days the first time I played this to realize that there's an exterior environment. But you can just leave, and there's a couple of interesting things out here. There's a sealed door here, which we'll eventually open. There's a gate here that Alzara, I keep calling it Alzara. His name is Alzara. Makes it seem like will open eventually, but I've never gotten it open. This is our camp. This is where we're staying for the night. You can look at it, but there's nothing in there. It just tells you how to call it a day. I will crack, actually, I think I can crack it. The first music code refers you to this dig spot, this hidden dig spot here, where we can get the conservatory. So I have dug up a floor plan, added it to our pool. Over here is the gem mine we've opened. There's a message in here. The message is not super relevant, but I'm going to read it anyway. It says, here's the last of the equipment for the new mine. I don't think we're going to need more than this, especially if we're going to limit excavation to 2 stones per day. I was told by the engineer that getting greedier than that might risk the structural integrity of the cave walls, so I suppose we'll have to adhere to this expert opinion, at least for now. We managed to remove all but 1 minecraft from the old tunnels, 2 of which were too rusted and worn down to be of any use to us up here, so Dave went ahead and made the call to scrap them. I'm not sure that the foreman is going to be too happy about that, but hopefully you can smooth it over.
You called it Minecraft, and that's funny.
Did I say Minecraft?
You said Minecraft.
Now there's still
Carry
one
on.
more minecart down there, but it's locked on a short track and it's way too difficult to move from the reservoir side. It's a little bit awkward because it's blocking the passage, so I suggest someone move it from the other side if they can get over there. The boss informed us that there are 2 other ways into the site from that side, but I think we're going to leave that for someone else to finish up if the old man really wants it done. So this is all referring to is there's actually a space under the mansion that you can access from, I think it's 5 different ways, and there's a minecart that's blocking a door that you can only move from one side. So we have to get in from a certain way to move that minecart. And here is a valve which we're going to turn. This is going to adjust the flow of some gas to this overlook and ignite the thing. This is a Zelda puzzle, so once we ignite all the things, something. I have solved this puzzle, so
Indeed.
an elevator is revealed as the something. Other thing I wanted to do, I am wasting a lot of steps out here while we're out here, is actually go up to this orchard here. And this is what I think is the small gate in the room puzzle. So 8, if you count small gates, 8 dates crack 8 safes. I think this is one of the safes or small gates. The code here is 1128. We don't know this yet. It's on a photograph in the darkroom, and I can show it to you later. But that will let us start. This is a big upgrade. That will let us start tomorrow with 20 steps, 20 additional steps. There are a couple of things in here which I will peek at, but I am running a little low on steps, so after that I'm just going to rush back in, and we'll try to continue our runs. We got another gassy thing here. Yeah, we did do really good on our first day. We got 2 major upgrades.
At this rate, you'll have all 4 lit by the end of the day.
That is not a possibility. There is a little shed in here. Of interest in the shed, well, first of all, there's a notebook. This is a notebook from the new gardener, the gardener who has replaced the guy that they fired for the what was he doing? Intimidating the guy, whatever. I can't think of the word. So the new groundskeeper, Robert Nagula, that's a name. When I first came to the estate in the capacity of the new groundskeeper, I was a little dismayed to find that my predecessor had kept no notes, no logbook, and no record of any kind regarding the various gardens and green rooms of the house under his care. As a result of this improvidence, in the first few months of my post, I suffered a number of embarrassing professional blunders that I believe could have been avoided with even a few scraps of imparting wisdom from the previous groundsman. To that end, I will make an effort to make some records of my dealings in the estate, as much as it pertains to horticulture and general tomfoolery. Among my many commissioned duties, I have been tasked with the conservation and oversight of Mount Holly's alluring grounds. My domain stretches from gate to gate and encompasses the apple orchard, entrance, drive, and east yard. Fortunately for my workload, the maintenance of the west ground has not been a priority since Lady Epson's death and the ensuring closure of the west wing. Nevertheless, I take some pride in my work, so I still endeavor to brush the west path weekly, even if none but myself take notice. In addition to maintaining the grounds, there are 8 green rooms within the house that require some level of upkeep and light groundskeeping. The majority of these I discovered are only draftable on the perimeter of the house along the east and west wings. The terrace, patio, veranda, morning room, greenhouse, and secret garden all fall into this category. So this is referring to a set of rooms that you can only draft along the edges of the house in these locations. One of the first tasks I undertook as a groundkeeper was to conduct a survey of the various plots of soil underneath each slot on both the east and west wings of the house, and while I would have preferred a full survey of 45 plots of the house, it was clear that the inconvenience such an undertaking would produce was in no way worth the extra data, especially considering the rooms that would benefit from this survey only ever appear in the wings. To quantify soil quality, I managed to measure the soil's capacity to support crop growth and maximize the promise of high yields. The survey ended up taking 2 weeks due to some difficulty reaching the higher ranks, but the project was well worth the effort. As suspected, the room position has direct relationship to the amount of fruit spread from the gardens and the amount of flowers that can bloom in a greenhouse. So this is just an indication that there are better and worse places to draft those rooms, and it kind of doesn't really end up mattering all that much. A few years ago, Barron made a long overdue decision to switch from gas lighting to electrical power. The installation of the new system was a substantial undertaking, and almost every room in the house had to be equipped with new fixtures and wiring. Thankfully, these renovations did not extend beyond the mansion's interior, and the lamps and equipment used outside of the house are still connected and powered by gas line, including but not limited to the orchard's smudge pots. The smudge pots found among the apple trees here in the orchard are a critical necessity thanks to the cold temperatures and high altitudes of the estate. These gas-burning stack heaters prevent frost and should be kept on during the winter months to ensure a daily yield of apples. When the smudge pots are not in use, the orchard's gas lines should be turned off to conserve resources for the estate's other gas-powered machinery and appliances. After a few months of idleness, I finally have a new cause to champion, and I have submitted a request for a change of scenery. Specifically, I would like to replace the statue of Orinda, that's the first reference we have to the name of the god that was wearing a crown, or the angel, or whatever, currently in the cloister, with the much more appropriate angel, Rinna. I don't know if we need to know the names of the angels, but I'm just going to call out that one of the angels appears here. The gardener angel's name is Rinna. After all, as beautiful as the statue is, shouldn't the greenery of Mount Holly be governed by a paragon of gardening? Though amused, I do not think Anne took the request too seriously, although she did humor me and listen to me rave and pontificate on the subject for the better part of our lunch yesterday, and she wonders why I avoid tending to the cloister. Truth be told, I have forgotten how to access the inner garden, and I'm too scared of chastisement to probe for the particulars for a third time. And this is his drawing of Rinna. My best rendition, pretty good considering I have only ever seen Rinna's depiction in the chapel. The only other thing that's worth observing here is on the floor here is a little stand that looks like the stand that we got the red gem from. So there might have been at some time in the past a red gem here in this shack in the orchard. All right, I'm heading back in. We'll try to make the best of the rest of this day. But we did get two important unlocks, and that's great. Who knows? Maybe we'll find that garage after all.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have enough steps to get all the way.
Don't forget we get the bunk room.
Oh yeah, the bunk room halfway. Okay, that'll do it.
So I'm gonna poke in here to get the 5. Sure, I'm doing this the most efficiently I can. Kind of looks like it's 6 of one, half a dozen in the other. I mean, it is close. You're not wrong. Still get me to 21, 20. And then I gotta go to the boudoir, which is like a ziggy-zaggy.
So in here a moment, you said there was currently a statue in the chapel of Orinda?
The statue is in the... It's not a location we have.
No.
The cloister.
Cloister. Okay, that's different. Yep,
Yeah,
carry on.
Different. Right.
Oh, yeah. Gonna have enough steps to do all this. Hit the darkroom light, get the dinner, all the good stuff.
Yeah. I do want the pool. The pool adds 2 additional rooms to your drafting pool for the day. All right, dinner is served. How far away was dinner? kind of far, but I think that's the next thing we go for.
6 steps. So it will be a profit to go there and get back.
So we're going to eat the lemon glazed salmon. If we had the aquarium, we'd get an additional 10 steps. We don't. We're going to eat it because we're very low on steps. That should give us enough for, yeah. I mean, I don't think we can do the dark room again, so I don't, maybe shouldn't even bother with that.
Yep, I guess save the 2 steps.
So easy to get turned around and waste your steps, man. Alright. We're probably locked into the pool, honestly. Oh my gosh, I can't believe... Oh, we got to do the rumpus room. Alright. I'll do the rumpus room. See if the other thing is open. This is a chart.
Chart and the crate. Graph.
What's the letter? If you count, it's a C. Crate and a rate?
Crate and rate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's locked. All right. So rumpus
There's
room.
a sign on the wall? Oh, carry on.
I should have read the sign. Yeah, you're right. I went fast. Sorry. Rumpus room has a bunch of money in it, so it's a good early draft. It always has 8 coins in it. But here's Alzara. We can talk to him in a moment. I'm going to poke around a little bit more, make sure there's nothing else worth picking up in here. And I don't think there is.
Is that a bishop on the floor?
It is a bishop room, I think.
Right behind you.
Oh,
there.
Yeah. Hey. Yes. Bishop room. Okay, so let's talk to Alzara. I'm going to be quiet, and he's going to show us, unfortunately, a one-time video that's going to have creepy, cryptic imagery and dialogue in it. That may or may not be relevant.
And, as it was foretold, I am awakened at the sound of the dropping coin. You find yourself face to face with the great Alzara. And I suspect you wish me to look into your future. The image is becoming clear. I see a boy standing on a shore of white sand. He is looking for something he was told he would not find. I see a black cat tied to a red flag. I hear the wind blowing, but the flag does not stir. I see a door marked by a rogue moon, a door that is always locked, yet has no key. It is the door you have been searching for, yet will not find. A lost room beyond the dark waters. What you have heard here has been foreseen by the great Alzara. Until the dawn of the following day, I will have nothing more to say.
So, yeah, I don't know what any of that means. Creepy.
I wrote down the notes. We got White Shore, Black Cat, Red Door. Looking for marches of counts and
There's a
data
red
points.
banner, right, or red flag.
Yes.
But it's on video, so if we need to revisit, got a boat and a bat here.
Bat and boat. Yep.
I think this is probably going to be locked also. Yeah, so our run is done. So I will come back and I will look at the sign.
Yeah, and how many steps? Let's count the exact steps to get to the furnace.
1, 2, 3, 4 to get to the
4.
breaker room. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We do not
16. Oh, it gets us exactly to the lit dark room.
Does it
Oh, but
really? No, I have 15. I have 15 steps.
Yeah,
We're
15.
one short.
So
There's
just
no
get there
food.
and look in the door, peek
Yep.
in. The sign was on the other side.
Oh, there it is. Pool rules. The draft pool is your deck of potential floor plans. Each time you draft, 3 random floor plans are drawn from the draft pool for you to select from. The odds of drawing a specific floor plan may differ depending on the room. Some rooms are more rare than others. Floor plans added to the draft pool are removed at the end of the day unless otherwise stated, and no running. Anything I can do to get a single step? I don't think there is.
Nothing you can buy on the way. No
There's,
more
yeah.
dirt. So much money.
Yep. Well.
Oh, the bedroom. Every time you go through the bedroom, you get 2 steps.
Oh, that's true. So it's technically 2 steps fewer. You're right. I think we have exactly enough to get in there.
Yes. Yes.
All righty. Good observation. All right. We got to make sure we do this exactly right.
Yeah.
Turn it back on. What? That just seems like it's missing those. All right. Dark room is on. What do we got now? We got to go. It's so close.
Is there another apple in here?
I mean, I think we might hit 0 when we get there, actually, which might also not be enough. 3, 2. No, we did get it. We got it with 1 to spare.
1. Amazing.
All right, so
Loot everything very carefully.
there is a key.
There's the key. Now we just need an apple. Scrape it out.
Well, there's nowhere else for like we literally have the only exits we have are up here. This is the end of our run. So, but in the dark room, there's so many clues that I don't know the meaning to, and a few I do. So first of all, this is a picture of the orchard. This is how I knew the date. If you use the magnifying lens, you can zoom in on this heart, and it has that date 11/28 on it. That's the passcode to the orchard keypad. Here's a picture of Baron Sinclair in the lavatory, I think. I don't know why these pictures are in here. Well, is that the same picture? I think so. Here's another picture of him in the lavatory. It's like he's taking a selfie, like a bathroom selfie.
Oh, that's definitely magnifiable.
Yeah, this is a picture of the dining room adjacent to the servants' quarters, and you can magnify this, and it says green notes are always false in Hartley's room, or something like that.
Okay, sure. And he wrote his note specifically for that. He takes it personally.
Oh, Print notes. HS has requested yet another print of Her Ladyship, I assume for one of her rooms in the West Wing, as well as an enlarged print of the enclosed photograph. He said the last development was too dark to keep an eye on that. Here's a picture of her. Another picture of the... Oh, you can almost see it. Garden. This is the picture of the office. Are those busts different? Maybe I should pay attention to that.
The king is still the same.
King is the same. I think there's one fewer bust there. I think.
The drawer is permanently in that position.
Yeah.
It's actually a fixed fixture.
This one is the maids. There's several versions of this in the drawing room. Not the drawing room. What's this room called? The drafting room, maybe? I forget. But I don't know the purpose of this picture either. And these may be red herrings, but I'm always very suspicious. I'm like, why are there three of these pictures? What am I supposed to notice?
Hanging plants on that room. We haven't seen a room with hanging plants yet.
There are hanging plants. Does that matter?
It's just different levels of focus on.
It is, yeah. Here's more of Hartley's selfie. Not Hartley, Sinclair. Herbert.
Was there a number on that one? On his collar, or was that just a scratch? No.
It kind of looks like a scratch. But you never know. I don't have the magnifying lens, so I can't zoom.
Yep.
Another one of these. Sand and and. But that was our day one.
Okay.
And that went pretty long, so maybe one day is good enough for our first run.
I imagine you'll spend less time.
Yeah, I have to
things
explain
next
less
time.
so we can move faster, and yeah, kind of got the. Oh, there's a clock in here. Is there something on the clock? It's got the same
Almost.
texture, so you can see that little smudgy thing there. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It is midnight. That's funny. Did a full day in here. It doesn't kick you out after a day. It kicks you out when you quit or when you run out of steps. But since we're at 1, we'll do the honors and run out of steps. Oh no. Steps.
Tired.
We have used all our steps and must call it a day. You have pushed yourself to the very edge of exhaustion and must now return to your campsite for some rest. You can continue on your search tomorrow. However, the house might be a little bit different. It does do a nice little summary for you of what you achieved during the day. It shows your layout, and it tells you the name based on what you've recruited. I don't think I've ever gotten corporate in before. That's funny.
Blue rooms and bedrooms.
But that's it. I'm just gonna save and quit. Does anybody have any final thoughts they want to get on the video before I stop recording? If not, I will just go ahead and kick us off.
Yep. All right. Good times.
All right.